Hello and welcome to West Star Tarot. I'm Liz, and today I'm here to talk about my month of September, my September favorites, or things that I was up to in the month of September. And so I did work with 5 decks in particular all month long, and that was for tarot challenge, do we call it, or tag? I don't know, that I was working on with sponsored or started or created by Esther at Mindful Tarot. And I did do a video about it. It's called Deck Dialogue. So if you want more information, you can just check out that video. But the 5 decks were, so let me backtrack. I wasn't even going to start with tarot, but I'm going to at least start with this tarot, and I'll go to the other tarot later. Very tarot month, really no oracle. So I have 5 decks that I pulled out to work with in the month of September. And so to back up a bit, Esther last year did Drop 'em 78. I think I've talked about this quite a few times on my channel. And Drop 'em 78 was a deep deck dive that started October 15th of last year. And trying to get comfortable. Esther discovered, or she counted back from December 31st, and she discovered that as of October 15th, which is fast approaching, there are 78 days left in the year. So what we do is we pick a deck that we want to work with exclusively. We don't work with any other decks for that 78 days. And every day we pull a card, and she gives us some ways to look at the card and think about the card and process the card. I mean, we do this to each of the 78 cards in the deck. And it's really fun because she has a Facebook page called Mindful Tarot, and many of us who are doing the Drop 'em 78 challenge will post our polls on the Facebook page, the Mindful Tarot Facebook page. And as I mentioned before, that in and of itself is a whole other challenge for me because I'm really rarely go on Facebook. So I have to go on Facebook 78 days in a row. Either I can do it and participate or not participate. So I'd rather participate and, I just go straight to the Mindful Tarot, do my post, and folks interact. And I think that's really one of the most enjoyable aspects of the challenge. We definitely, or I guess I should say, I definitely learn from my own experiences and my own study and examination of the cards, but seeing what other people post about their particular cards and seeing comments that people make on your posts and the cards you pull is really enlightening. So anyway, it's really great. And I reached out to Esther in August and said, hey, you're going to do Drop 'em 78 again. And I knew October was a busy month for her because she's going to Newt's and she's teaching a week-long class with Robert M. Place at Omega Institute in New York. So I knew October was going to be a busy month for her, but she is, in fact, going to do the Drop 'em 78. So Esther, I thank you for that. If you watch this video, I'm really excited to dive in. So I did spend the month of September working with these 5 decks. So it was Tarot de Saint Croix, the Gentle Tarot, Super Lunaris Tarot, the Star Seeker Tarot, and the Next World Tarot. And the only one that I had sort of pre-planned to work with was the Next World Tarot. And the other ones just kind of happened organically. So I was going to start off on September 1st with Next World, but somehow this guy jumped in first. So I don't really think of this as a masculine deck, but I'm from New England, and for us, guy is non-binary. So I hope that doesn't disturb you if I say you guys or guy, and I'm referring to all genders. To me, it's an inclusive term. Anyway, so Gentle Tarot was up first, then I did Next World. I think then I did Saint Croix and Superlunaris, and the Star Seeker was the last one. And that was a real kind of surprise. That kind of popped out of nowhere. I hadn't used that deck in a while. And I have to say, this was a gift from a friend of mine who somehow told me they ended up with two. And did I want this? And I said, sure. Oh, I got some amazing readings. Well, I got some amazing readings from all the decks, to the point that when I reached September 30th, I was no clearer about which deck I was going to choose to work with than I was on September 1st. They were all so good, and I got so many really good readings. So again, Esther directed us on our deck dialogue. So we were supposed to have a dialogue with the deck and interact, ask the deck a question, pull a card for an answer, paraphrase the answer back to the deck, pull another card to get clarification. And it was really a fascinating method of interacting with the deck. I've seen other people do it, but I had never really done it so much myself. So for a whole month, I did that every day with one or the other of these decks. And it was a lot of fun and really interesting. I got some incredibly powerful readings. So we're into October. It's October 10th today. And I was thinking that I wasn't any closer to choosing which one of these fine decks I was going to use for the Drop 'em 78 challenge than I was at the start. So last night I decided, you know what, I'm going to put these decks in order. And then this morning, I'm going to just go through each deck, quickly. Because I kind of want things fresh for when I start the Drop 'em 78 challenge. So I went through the decks, put them in order, went through each one. And I did decide to eliminate two decks. And it's the Superlunaris and the Star Seeker. And, it's not that these aren't beautiful decks. It's not that I don't love these decks. It's not that I'm not intrigued by these decks. It's just that they're a bit too Rider-Waite-Smith clone-ish. And I want something that will take me at least a little bit out of the Rider-Waite-Smith comfort zone. Esther suggests that we use what she calls a calibration deck, and I will be using a Rider-Waite-Smith deck for that. So I don't want to use a real straight Rider-Waite-Smith deck as the deck that I'll be using for the challenge, because that just doesn't seem like I'll be able to get deep enough, or it'll get boring or something. Anyway, so now we're down to Tarot de Saint Croix, the Gentle Tarot, and Next World. And so I will make the decision which one will make the cut over the next couple of days. And I have to say that after I put the cards in order and I went through the decks in order and I eliminated the Superlunaris and the Star Seeker, one of these three really stepped forward to me as probably going to be the one. But we will wait and see when I get to October video which one I did end up choosing. I have more tarot decks, but I'm going to cut the tarot stuff in two. And I want to talk a little bit about a crystal that I have. So at the beginning of September, some of you know, maybe some of you don't know, but I've been going through, kind of an over-the-top challenging time. My husband's been very ill. He's immune compromised. He got COVID. He's been in and out of the hospital for months now, since Memorial Day. He has come home a few times and then had to go back in, and he's had to have surgeries. He doesn't have long COVID, but I guess one of the things that COVID can do is cause a blood clot. And so Bob did get a blood clot and has had to have multiple surgeries on his leg, and there's these wounds, and it's just a mess. Meanwhile, I've been holding down the fort, and as I mentioned in my July favorites, I dislocated and had a compound fracture of my big toe. It healed, and the first day I took the boot off and was able to go for a walk. I then broke my finger. That healed, and the first day that I didn't have to wear a splint, I took my dog for another walk. This was just, I guess, a week or so ago. And a dog in our neighborhood came running out of the neighbor's yard, snapping and snarling and biting, and I really thought was going to attack me, Luna, and my friend. And was trying to get to Luna and ran into me so hard that the dog knocked me over. My feet went out from under me, and I re-broke my finger. So I'm on my third broken bone now. Fun times, guys, fun times. But anyway, I'm trying to roll with the punches. It's just a lot going on. It just seems like it's one thing after another. And I'm wondering, I think about the wheel, Trump 10, and I think about the wheel, and I'm like, okay, you can turn now. We've had the bad time for like months now. Let's turn a little bit. But anyway, I'm getting lots of support from family and friends, from the tarot community. People reach out to me and check in on me. And I just want to say thank you to any of you who have been supportive and have reached out to me. It's greatly appreciated. And, just having someone make a comment on one of your videos or Instagram or private message you, hey, I'm thinking of you, how you're doing. It just lifts your spirits, and it makes you feel held and supported. So thanks to everyone who's been doing that. So, my crystal. So I decided at the beginning of September I was going to go and have a healing. And there's someone that I know locally. We used to be in a women's chorus together. And this woman she does healings and channelings, and she works with crystals and Reiki and, tapping. She works with homeopathy, so she just does a lot of different things. So I thought, I'm going to go have a healing with her. So she did the healing. It was like, I want to say 2.5 hours. I mean, it was amazing. And at the end, what she does, while you're still sort of in your, on the table in your meditative state, she'll go and channel message from your guides. So she got several messages from me, one of which was from somebody called Rose Quartz. So the woman who did the channeling said, I don't know if this makes sense to you, but one of the guides that came in called themselves Rose Quartz. And I said, yeah, it makes perfect sense. I love rose quartz. I have an affinity for rose quartz. I really need rose quartz in my life right now. And I thought immediately of this beautiful, it's a palm stone of sorts, but it's so big. I got this from Patrick Fogarty. He does crystal sales on his Instagram channel in the off season. He has a shop with his wife, Jolene, in Bar Harbor, Maine during the, I would say, May, June, July, August, September. And then when things start to slow down, he starts to do his online crystal sales. So I got this from him quite some time ago. The minute he brought it forward, I was like, sold. um, and trust me, the last thing I needed was another piece of rose quartz. I have quite a few, but this one just called out to me, and I'm so glad I got her. I love her. She's so heart healing. So after I got the message about the guide, the rose quartz guide, a few days later was the full moon in September. And so Luna and I went over to the beach. It was a gorgeous night. It was still warm and summery. The moon rose up over Vineyard Sound, and we just sat on the beach together. And I brought this beautiful piece of rose quartz. And I, you know, through the full moon, so I sort of felt like, all right, the earth, the air, the fire, the water, the four elements, spirit through La Luna in the moon, the goddess in her guise as the moon, ruling the tides and, cycles and introspection and psychic ability and so forth. So I just wanted this rose quartz to be out in that full moon, and I kind of asked that full moon energy to come in, and I called upon the rose quartz guide to come in, and then moving forward I want to use this stone as part of my healing process, because obviously I kind of need that. So that's what I've been using for crystal, and I will be using this as a crystal for the foreseeable future. So herbs, I have several. So in September, I was working with and harvesting my beloved Tulsi, holy basil, and I adore this plant. I love making fresh tea from her. She has a rich and long history in the Ayurvedic tradition. And from my understanding, many Indian households have Tulsi growing outside their door and in their gardens and in their homes as for protection and for prayer and for worship and for getting in touch with the female deities. And it's quite interesting. So Ayurvedic healing system is thousands of years old. It's actually older than TCM, traditional Chinese medicine, by about a millennia. So I love this herb. I really like it fresh, better than dried for making tea. You can also make tincture, and I love making Tulsi glycerin. It's an adaptogenic herb, which means, I wish you could smell it. Oh my gosh, it's heaven. It's an adaptogenic herb, which means it helps your body adapt. So this particular adaptogen is good for folks who are having issues with glucose levels. So if your glucose is too high, it helps lower it. If it's too low, it helps raise it. So it helps your body adapt. It's antimicrobial, antiviral. It's good for clearing the mind and sharpening the mind, as many basils are. It helps with high blood pressure. It helps with stress. It helps modulate stress and calm you. It helps with sleep. I mean, the ways this herb heals is really, they're endless. So I'm continuing to work with Tulsi. It was starting to get cold towards the end of September, so my potted Tulsi I have now brought in the house, and I have 2 that are still growing in the garden that I have to dig up and bring in. I can usually winter over the plants, and in the spring, like about April, I'll start making cuttings, and then that's how I'll get the next year. So this is from an original grandmother plant 2 or 3 summers ago. I took cuttings off that one, and that 2 or 3 summers ago, and then last summer and this summer. So you can, once you get a Tulsi plant, you can, really keep it going. You can buy it dried, but I just don't find it the same. So another plant that I didn't really work with, but I'm harvesting now. This is Cannabis. This one is sativa, and I also have an indica. And I seem to be more of an indica person because I just need to take one puff before I go to bed, and it just helps me relax and calm down and sleep. My sister-in-law has a whole business where she makes salves, pain-relieving salves, hair growth tonics, skin soothing salves, teas, tinctures. I mean, she just does it all. And she has, I just had I had 3 plants. One was a male, so I had to pull that one out. So I ended up with 2, and it's fine. Like I said, I take 1 puff. So how much do I need? I'm a lightweight. So that's my ganja. And I also last month made an antiviral concoction. I saw it on Lucy Jones's Instagram account. She's an herbalist. She calls herself a self-sufficient herbalist in England, and it actually has written a book called The Self-Sufficient Herbalist, which I really do feel like I should buy. I just love her posts. She's so wonderful and posts recipes and gives all sorts of good harvesting advice. So she recently posted, maybe about 2 or 3 weeks ago, an antiviral, it's not really a tincture because it's with apple cider vinegar. So you take nasturtium blossoms, which are in and of themselves antiviral. I mean, if you Google medicinal effects of nasturtium, you're just not going to believe all that it does. But I am specifically making this concoction for the antiviral effect. So it's blossoms of nasturtium, and you can also put in leaves and stems if you like, in apple cider vinegar with with cloves of fresh garlic that I, press, I peel and then just kind of squash with a knife. And she used black peppercorns. I didn't have any whole black peppercorns, so I decided to use ginger root. So I grated the ginger root. So mine is apple cider vinegar, nasturtium flowers and stems, and a little bit of leaves and garlic. And I'm going to infuse that for about 4 weeks, shaking it every couple of days or so and topping it off with apple cider vinegar as needed. And then once it's ready, you just take a teaspoon of that every day throughout the fall and winter to ward off any kind of viruses. And of course, the cold is a virus. The flu is a virus. Our dear, dear friend COVID is a virus. So it's good to be taking antivirals at this time of year. So that's what I'll be doing. So those are my herbs. Next up, I'm going to do real quickly books. So this was a book that a friend of mine gave me for my birthday, which was in March. And I had put it in my to be read pile, and I hadn't really gotten around to it. And the other day I was noticing that the hummingbirds were gone. I hadn't seen one in a week or so at the feeder or in the garden. And usually they do leave the end of September, beginning of October. So I do think they're gone. And I was feeling sad. I'm glad that they're migrating and going where they need to go and doing what they need to do, but I will miss them because they do bring me joy and heal my heart and uplift my spirit. So anyway, this is just a sweet little book about hummingbirds, and I pulled this out for September as sort of my homage and farewell to the hummingbirds this year. I have got on a Regency mystery strong woman detective path in September. So I discovered this. Andrea Penrose has a couple of different series about strong women who solve mysteries. Most of them are in the aristocracy. Then this one is by Deanna Rayburn, and it's great. The woman is, oh shucks, I'm really sorry, I don't know the scientific term. She studies butterflies. I don't know what it is, but it's great. It's set in London in this is not Regency, this is more Victorian. And then this one, this series is by a guy, Leonard Goldberg, and it's called The Daughter of Sherlock Holmes. And that's exactly what it's about. This woman who Sherlock had a one-night stand with Irene Adler. If you're familiar with the Sherlock Holmes books, you'll know who Irene Adler is. And unbeknownst to Sherlock, Irene Adler had this baby, Joanna. And now she's all grown up and she's every bit as brilliant as her father and observant and solving mysteries. And so Sherlock in this book series has died, but Watson is still alive. And Joanna teams up with Watson and Watson's son, who is also a physician, to solve mysteries. And they're fascinating and they're fun. And, you know, I'm enjoying them. I'm just, you know, I just like those kind of books to kind of chill out at night with. So now want to end up with tarot. These were decks that were new to me this month, and I really haven't gotten new tarot or oracle decks in a while. This one was from a Kickstarter, the Gentle Tarot. I do have, as I showed before, the full-sized tarot, which I like quite a bit. And I didn't realize when I backed the second Kickstarter that I could have just backed the book, because that's really all I wanted was the book, the guidebook that came in the first go-round of the first edition. Let's see here, is wonderful, and I love it. Let's see, how am I doing here? Yeah, so we have these beautiful full color pictures, you know, several pages on each card. I'm really looking forward to diving into this. I have not yet. And here's the pocket version. Now, I thought it was interesting. When people first got this pocket version, I was hearing folks complaining about how hard it was to get the deck in and out of the tin. But as you could see, that I didn't have any problem whatsoever. It just pops right out. I wish Mari had used different cardstock. This is the same cardstock, I think, as the original deck, and it's just really hard. I mean, the size is good for my little hands to shuffle, but the cardstock itself, yeah, it's hard. Of course, maybe part of the reason is because I have a broken finger, so maybe that's why I'm having a hard time shuffling it. Anyway, that was something that I felt like I waited for a year and a day. I know there were a lot of setbacks. I backed maybe 3 or 4, I'm not sure, Kickstarters in 2021, and I got none of them. I'm still waiting for, I think, 3, and I've gotten 2. So the other 2 decks I got this month was the Wiser Tarot. So this has been redone to be more diverse, and I'm loving the watercolor effect. I think this deck and its coloration is gorgeous. There has been some controversy about it. People are concerned that it is actually not as diverse or inclusive as it could be. And then other people are saying, yeah, they basically just colored in the white people and made them tan or brown. And so some people were offended by that. And I hear that. I hear that. So my decision is will be using this deck, but I won't post with it because I don't want to, upset or offend folks that find this deck offensive. So anyway, that was a new deck. As I said, I do think the artwork, the watercolor effect is lovely. And then the last deck that I got in September is this one. Woohoo! And I did a whole walkthrough of it. I think I did a walkthrough of the Wiser deck as well. So this, in September, I got to meet up with a tarot friend of mine. We met online. And we're sort of an unlikely duo in many ways. I'm probably 25 years older, and we have real different lifestyles, but we both love tarot, and we're both social activists, and we both love cooking, and we both love oysters. And so we're friends, and we don't live that far apart from each other, about an hour and 20 minutes or so. So we often will meet in the middle, but we had not seen each other since the pandemic started. So we hadn't seen each other in over 2 years. We talk online and message each other and text and blah, blah, blah. But, nothing like seeing your friend in person. So we met in a town called New Bedford, which is on the south coast of Massachusetts. It's one of the biggest fishing ports in the United States on the East Coast. One of the oldest, I don't know, but it's a really busy fishing port. And it was a beautiful day, and we sat outside on the dock with all the fishing boats around us, and we went to this clam shack. And we got clams and scallops, and, we hung out, and we did show and tell with new decks. And I was gifted the Shimmering Veil Tarot. Wow! I had mentioned that I was going to order it, but that I was kind of hesitating because the postage to get it from the UK to the US was almost as much as the deck cost. So my friend said, you know what? I got an extra one. I'm just going to give it to you. And I said, well, I'll just pay you, whatever. But he wouldn't let me. So here I am. This is not my style of art. This is not my usual deck. But I love it. I actually have not used it yet because I did spend the month of September working with the 5 decks that I mentioned, so that I could, look at that. So that I could pick my deck for the Drop 78. Gorgeous. Gorgeous. So I will be working with this deck. It may not be until the beginning of 2023 because I am going to commit to just using one deck once Drop 78 starts. But I think I will at least shuffle this and do a spread and a get to know you kind of spread, and see where we go from there. So that is that. The other thing that happened in September is I hit 500 subscribers. So I was kind of excited about that. And I had mentioned earlier in the summer that I noticed that I was getting close to 500, and that when and if I did hit 500 subscribers, I was going to do a deck giveaway. So I thought I'd wait until I hit 500 and stayed over 500, because you know how things go up and down. So now I have been, I'm like 511 or something, and I have been that way for several weeks now. So I'm going to consider, oh, and I got an email from YouTube saying, oh, congratulations, you have 500 subscribers. I mean, I'm teensy. I'm a little teeny channel, and I'm not striving to be big. I like meeting new people. I like having new subscribers, especially when people interact and comment. For me, YouTube isn't just about watching the videos, it's about interacting with each other and commenting. Even if you disagree, we can disagree respectfully and kindly and politely, and just to interact with each other and talk tarot. So anyway, I'm going to be doing a little video in the next couple of days to talk about my giveaway. And it will be a deck giveaway and probably like an herbal tea that I created and maybe a rose petal elixir. I don't know. I'll figure something out. But so keep an eye out for that video. And thank you so much for joining me. Blessings to you all. It's a pleasure to have you in my life.